Hey, what's up, everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be going over the fundamental sprinting techniques to get you faster. I'm going to start the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab. Reach your individual goals. You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video. Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become. All right, so this is going to be something that will apply to really any different sport, whether it be football, soccer, baseball, and then even obviously into track and field. I did this the other day and was just looking over the video, getting a better understanding of what's important from a sprinting technique perspective to help you in applying that to, again, the fundamental parts of helping you get faster. And the point of this is going to end up really being able to show you just how many different types of sprinting techniques there can be. So then you can really understand how important it is to be able to get the video and get a little bit more specific into what it is you need to improve. It's important to be able to really differentiate between the three different phases of sprinting, right? We're going to have like the start or the first kind of 3 to 4 steps. And then you're going to have like your drive phase would be the, typical, it's kind of like acceleration, right? And then we're going to get into our top speed. We're going to transition into our top speed. The reason I say that is because there is this point where we're transitioning into our top speed that there's a lot of people that struggle with, and we'll be able to see some of that here today. So here's going to be an example of a athlete that is experiencing a little bit of some discomfort in their left leg, right, left knee. And so what we're seeing is as they're accelerating, just not great timing with the foot strike. So see how as the right foot's coming here, we're getting that toe up and really good job of being able to plantar flex. I guess not really good, but a good job of being able to get into plantar flexion, landing on the front part of the foot to help them transition off the ground. We're now on the left side. We get to this position and see how the foot ends up being stuck. There's really a limited amount of range within the ankle and not very much going there. Now, what that's going to do is make it so we're not landing in a good position within our foot, making it so now we're going to be putting a lot more pressure within the knee. Again, we could see a better job of being able to get the foot through and immediately go into a little bit too much external rotation, I would say, within the foot, but at least we're getting consistent action within the ankle, which is really what's important here. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to just kind of transition through a bunch of these here. Here I'm going to go through with a athlete that's faster, right? And we can look at his start and his ability to accelerate here. So look at how good of a landing he has with that first step. Really good job landing on the front part of the foot. Great job getting the knees up and through. A really good arm swing. A lot of good technical things. And I have this cone set up here, this yellow cone set up at the 10-yard mark. Okay, and there's a lot of guys that struggle to get their 7th step in this 10-yard. We could see here he's landing, that's his 6th step, and he easily passes the 10-yard mark. But what's happening is as he's transitioning into his top speed, right, we see all these steps. He's doing a really good job of being able to land more on the front part of the foot. But now as he's transitioning into his top speed, look, all of a sudden he starts to land with the heel first. Okay, and so when we want to talk about fundamentals of sprinting mechanics, what's going to end up being important? Where are we striking the ground? The right part of the foot that wants to be striking the ground wants to be more of the inside part of the foot. It wants to be more towards the ball of the foot, or potentially when you get to your top speed, even maybe above the ball of your foot. And then when you're accelerating, we want to be much like the heels want to be up a lot more as you're landing. And we want to be able to really control the ability to stabilize. So as that foot's hitting the ground, we're absorbing with the knee going slightly out to the side. We don't have a lot of rotation happening within the foot, or also not collapsing in with the foot and with the ankle as we are landing, as we're absorbing. Okay, so when we want to talk about fundamentals, when we want to talk about sprinting technique, important part of that, what part of the foot are you landing on? Next thing we're going to talk about is going to be what are we doing with our arms. What we want to be able to see is extension in the arms. So we can compare these two right now, okay? And because of that, we could see a big difference in how well we're able to open up within our stride, okay? And just our overall balance, our body control from the difference in the arm swing. Okay, so we want to talk about sprinting technique to get faster. Another big part of it is going to be really, as we're pulling back, getting that hand to go behind the hip. Okay, when we're accelerating, we really want to be able to see the elbow come out in front. Okay, so we need to get good height with that front arm as we're accelerating to help us with our ability to pick up distance. Look at how low that elbow is there. Okay, so we're just not getting enough height there to then be able to get a pull. So that's another important part of being able to accelerate. Where are we putting our arms? It's not bad on the left side. The issue with the left side is we are pulling out to the side. Okay, when we're pulling with our arms, we want to be pulling those arms behind us. We want to be pulling the arm back, making it so we're getting our hands to come back behind our hip. That's another important part of accelerating. And the big part about speed too is it's a lot about timing. It's a lot about how we go through all the different phases. So here's going to be an example. This is another fast guy. This is among the faster of the athletes here, right? Another good, see how he's accelerating? Another good example of proper position in the arms. Okay, he has good position too, even with in his head, like his head is in a good alignment, getting good height within his feet, landing in a good position. But as he gets going, and it's hard to be able to see this as he's accelerating, actually. Okay, I'm sure if I was able to get a better angle, I'd be able to see it more effectively. Like if I was videoing from the back, typically I'd want to look at a lot more angles. But what we see is he really starts going a lot more to the right within his sprinting, right? So now if we see, like, as he's landing with this left leg coming around and across his body. And now the right foot really turns out a good amount. Okay, he doesn't do it as much on the right side. Right side, he comes kind of straight through more. But left side, he's really coming around, right? See how his foot's coming out to in right there and coming. So now it's like crossing the midline. Instead of him picking up consistent distance on each one of his steps, he's really going and on his left step, taking a more of a side trajectory. If as you are getting into your top speed, or even as you're building your top speed, if you have one step that is taking up some unnecessary amount of time or going in a just not as efficient, right? Going across, right? Or you're turning out, or we're not using the foot as well to be able to strike. These are all going to be just some limiting aspects of your running that could have a potential impact. This is why I always say to people, like, look, it's typically not 10 things that you need to get better with your sprinting, right? Even people that have bad mechanics. I'll show you a guy here in a little bit that's just like, man, his mechanics look just not good. It's just because of one or two things. If he can get better in one or two areas, he's going to get a lot better within his whole overall sprint. It's just that he made the biggest area that he needs to improve makes it very obvious that his sprinting mechanics aren't great. This guy's gotten a lot faster in the last couple of years, okay? And a lot of it has gone through his acceleration. Look at how good he of a job he does is getting his legs up and through, getting his arms moving, right? Has really good acceleration. This is another example, though, of as he's transitioning, now he starts landing further back onto his foot, okay? Not getting the hips through. Foot height as he's coming back behind, look, good range of motion right there. It's really good, especially for, younger athlete that is his size. There's a lot of good things that he's doing. Now he just needs to really work on being able to get to his top speed and be able to maintain the correct landing position. The landing is so important here. If you could watch this video and really start to understand the importance of the running and where you're landing as you're running, it will make a huge difference on your overall performance as a athlete. Through the start, through the acceleration, through the drive, and into the top end, maintain good landing form, you're going to really be able to, a ton of improvement. I have a ton of videos too that could help you understand how to pull, where you should be landing on your foot, what are common issues that are impacting that. And a lot of people want to talk about the your knee height, right? The front side mechanics and being able to maximize that. And that is important. It's something that I do try to cue and do try to help people understand. But to be honest, I don't think that is the key issue. I think that is more a part of just not having good timing and not having the right angles during your toe off, right? So if your foot is way behind you when when it's coming off the ground, now it's going to make it so it's a lot more difficult for you to be able to get the right range, or in this example, so this is the one I was talking about, where it's like, you watch him run and look at how his knees are. Right? He's just not picking up his knees. He does plenty of arm action. Okay, he's landing on the right part of his foot. Right, his head's in a good position. His hips can be more through, but they're not way behind. Okay, so what's messing him up? Okay, I'm sure there's a lot of people that know people that run like this and would like to be able to help them out. And really what this comes down to is, how are we trying to generate force? What I mean by that is, are we trying to push off the ground and trying to rely a ton on pushing off the ground, or are we relying on foot strike? And with my last tangent, you should be able to easily say to yourself, oh, it's got to be foot strike, right? It's got to be, how are we striking the ground? And that's 100% it. So what he's doing, where he's killing himself, is he's emphasizing pushing off and hoping that he will be able to run faster by cycling his legs faster and pushing off harder. That's not what's going to make him faster, right? What's going to make him faster is getting himself in a position where he can best strike the ground with the most amount of force, which means getting the foot up a little higher behind him. So then as he transitions through, he can get his knee up and can get his foot up, so then he could push down into the ground, right? So the overall thought process that he has as he's accelerating, and I haven't gone over the videos with these guys. I mean, I have with some of the older kids, but this is a younger guy. The understanding that I want you to see here, and some of the technical things that I think end up being important, are when you don't have the right timing, right? If you are trying too hard or so hard to get your legs to move really fast, but you're not picking up any distance, you're not going to be able to run fast. You got to be able to understand that it's about how your foot's striking the ground and being able to set yourself up for that. For sometimes it's about patience, right? You got to be a little more patient with what's going on within the legs, and let's prioritize your ability to strike the ground instead of prioritizing how fast your legs are moving. So because he puts such an emphasis on trying to move his legs as fast as he can, which in a lot of senses, it's good that he can move his legs that fast. So now once he gets better within his technique, he's going to be able to get a lot faster. I'm excited for him because I think that he will be able to improve a lot as he is able to get faster. Okay, here's another example of somebody that's trying too hard to push off, right? You could see how much he's trying to push off here. So what's going to happen here is way too much emphasis on your push off. And because of that, now that foot's getting way too far back behind. So it's too long a foot contact time. This is a high risk of overuse hamstrings and hamstring pulls and consistent hamstring pulls, and really having a hard time in being able to perform as good as they can because of an inability to properly strike the ground, right? Look how he's striking the ground. He's going to end up having an imbalance in the hamstring to quad ratio, right? So he's going to have to be way stronger in the backside and rely on his backside. You can always have good acceleration. We'll have, and it's not honestly bad with his top speed, but won't be great. And the reason is because of the weakness that he has within the hip flexors, and really more importantly, the inability to access the hip flexors. Another guy that moves the legs really fast, but is not picking up distance, right? Is not prioritizing distance, not getting much leg lift behind, right? Look at that extension out of this hip here. That's really no extension. Trying to use his feet a ton. This is not a strength issue, to be honest with this guy. He's able to squat over 400 pounds. Access your muscles when it comes to lifting, that's one thing. It's another thing when it comes to being able to really utilize your body 100% to maximize the overall performance. And I think here's another example of a guy that has a lot of really good turnover, but has the opportunity to be able to get a lot better once he starts understanding how to be able to more effectively strike the ground. There's a bunch of examples there of really basic fundamental parts of sprinting to be able to get you faster. Okay, if you want to learn about the techniques, right? That's a lot about some of the important techniques. And a lot of it to you, I'm hoping when you're watching this, that you should be able to see this and be like, dang, this makes a lot of sense, right? Those things are not complicated. It's not supposed to be complicated here. Okay. It doesn't mean that it's easy, right? It means that it's simple. Okay. That's my goal. My goal is to make it so this is simple for you to be able to understand. Okay. And really try to get you to focus on, again, one or two things. And really, I would really like it to be one thing and make it so that one thing also improves your timing, improves your coordination, improves your ability to utilize your right and your left side more effectively. Okay, because that's typically what it is. It's like your one side's working well and the other side's not. Whether that's front side, back side, whether that's right side, left side, whether that is front part of your hip flexor on your right and the back part of your hamstring on the left. Okay, it usually ends up being something like that. And that one part that's impacting it, that's negatively impacting performance, makes a big difference, especially if you compound that over a long period of time, right? Einstein talks about how there's no force that is more powerful than compound interest. Okay, so what compound interest means when it comes to your ability to build speed is if you start to more effectively utilize all the parts of your body in a more efficient, more effective way over a period of time, you're going to have compound interest in how well you're able to improve in all facets of the muscles. Okay, but what happens is you end up putting really a ceiling on your ability to improve because of an inefficiency that happens. And there's a wide range of reasons. People always want to ask, like, why did that happen? Could happen from a lot of different things. You fell, one time, you stubbed your toe, maybe you had an injury, maybe your hamstring started hurting, so then you started walking a little bit different. Maybe your hip started hurting when you were a kid, maybe you fell, and now you had a scrape on your knee, so you didn't want to bend a certain way in your knee. There's a million different reasons why something like this happens. I don't like to focus too much on why it happened, but let's focus on how can we improve it and how can we get better. And that's what we do within our speed program. So as always, guys, if you like the information, click that thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel. That really helps us out a ton. Like, comment, let me know what you think about this video. I think this should be a really helpful video for a lot of you guys, especially if you are looking at really trying to understand, again, the fundamentals. And this should apply to a wide variety of different sports, a wide variety of different types of athletes. The big thing is just the ability to apply this information and understand the importance of video when it comes to being able to make it so you can get the most out of your overall performance, right? So if you're not using video to be able to assess your abilities, I don't think you're going to be able to get the same type of improvement there. So yeah, again, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you soon.